I just finished recording a rant. I'm gonna hold on to that rant for a little while, make sure I really want you guys to see it. But anyway, as mentioned, I am now going to tell the story about the one and only professional hypnotism session I was able to save and afford, and the nightmare that ensued. I don't know why I'm telling you this, except that why not? It's not like anybody really gives a flying fuck. On a side note that's kind of actually attached to this, I've been listening to some more of the more prominent super soldier types talk, and it's like, oh, well, you should buy this book, it's affordable, and you should do this, and it's affordable. Come to my convention, it's affordable. And I'm sorry, but $50 a ticket, that's not affordable. $15 for a book, for many of us, that's not affordable. Okay, and $90 for a hypnotherapy session to try to get your memories out was not affordable. It took me 3 long months to save for that. This happened in a time when our money was really tight. The husband was deployed, and the Army had fucked up our pay so that we weren't getting paid everything we were supposed to be paying, and it was terrible. A terrible time, but somehow I managed to save up money for this session with this gentleman who had approached a MUFON claiming that he wanted to help out with experiencers and stuff, and had said that he would give me a session. To go to the session, okay, with high hopes I might add, I had to drive 4 hours one way. It was scheduled on a Friday, which was the night that I was supposed to show up at a convention 3 other states away, or the day before. Anyway, it was a lot of driving for me that time, because I had to do a public appearance to promote one of my comics. And, I had never met this guy in person. His number had been given to me by a roommate who had been able to attend a MUFON event that had happened in Texas that I couldn't attend because, again, affordable. And I remember I had to wait at his office for him. The office was not open. I had to call him to let him know I had arrived on time. There was no secretary, nothing. It was this little hole in the wall out in the middle of nowhere. It was barely an office area. And it took him a few minutes to get to me. He steps out of his car and he's walking, and immediately my red flags are ringing because he is walking like a military man. And I was already nervous and worried because I didn't know if I was allowed to do it. I didn't know if I would get punished. I didn't know what was going on. And then there's this military man approaching me, and he's going to be my hypnotherapist. And he, through the course of our conversation, he revealed that he was former military. He had gotten out several years ago, but he still walked like he was fresh. And if you don't know, when you're fresh out of basic, you have a way of walking, and then you calm down. And when you get fresh out of the military, you have a way of walking, and then it calms down. And sure, some of it never leaves you, but there are stages to the walk. And he had that fresh stage. Oh. So he's talking to me, and I happen to know that there are several hypnosis techniques because my husband for a while was studying it. There's your typical technique where you do the hypnosis thing, but there's another one where you get somebody talking, and the way you talk to them puts them under hypnosis so they never know it. And he did that to me. The thing is, I knew it, but I was out of control because when you're my type of training in Matrix, there are safeguards. And he woke up what I call the babbler. It was very humiliating. It was really, really humiliating for my mouth to just run and run and run and run and run and run and not say a thing that's coherent. Well, he and this woman that, with a clipboard sitting quietly behind the desk are watching, and I'm saying the craziest shit. I even said to him, I know you're one of us. I know you're one of us. Isn't that the kind of talk that the crazy people who have been caught that are serial killers or whatever say? And it was coming out of my mouth. I didn't see him as one of us. I remember thinking to myself, how is he one of us? I don't, you know, but it's just coming out of my mouth, and it was just completely out of control. Then he ended the session, and he put me, and then he pretended to he put me under another hypnosis thing in a chair and told me you're going to gain confidence, and he gave me the the stereotype hypnosis session, which lasted like 5 minutes, and then I had to pay him $90 for that humiliating experience. I am terrified of being under hypnosis again, because people do not know how to handle people with my training. The minute that babbler came out was the minute he should have shut her down, but he didn't. He let her go. He let her go for a good 30, 45 minutes. $90 to be humiliated, guys. Now, what the fuck should you care? I don't know. But I went to my convention, burning. Years and years later, I'm still burning. And then, you know, I get to my hotel, I set up my table, I go to bed. I woke up at something like 2 in the morning in incredible amounts of pain right here. And you know how you're waking up, you don't really come into it. And then finally I came out of it, and I realized that I was waking up because I had just had a fresh implant put right there, and it was huge. And I don't know if you've ever had an operation, but if you have, then you know that special pain, that special healing cut pain. They had put it in, healed the skin, but didn't heal it completely, and I was in pain. They implanted me for daring to pay $90 to go to a hypnotherapist who probably was a shill, to be humiliated for almost an hour. And yeah, about that. I, to this day, don't know anything more about that incident. I don't even remember when they took it out. The implant, I mean. But I do know that if I approach a researcher ever since then, it is a really large gesture of trust on my part. So imagine my humiliation and shame whenever Bud Hopkins tried to help me and put me in channels. This was like a couple of weeks before he passed away, to find someone, and it led me to a certain researcher whose name I shall not mention, and she yelled at me and my roommate over the phone because I had followed Bud's advice and followed channels, and was given her phone number and called her as I was instructed to do, trying to find someone. Imagine how that reinforced it, because first I've been punished hypnotherapy wise with a damn shill, and now I'm going to one of the people who are supposedly out there for people like me, only to get literally yelled at. These events and things like this actually successfully drove my roommate underground. She no longer tries to look into stuff. She no longer researches stuff. She no longer wants to get involved. She's just completely mundane, which is what they want. And every time a researcher goes for that and goes for it too, and acts the same way because they're offended that somebody trusted them, they're doing exactly like the rest does. And you got to wonder, are they really there to help you, or are they also a shill sometimes? No, I'm not saying they were. But that's my hypnotherapy experience. Very harrowing, very upsetting. And so whenever I try to catch up with the information, and I catch random radio shows, and I listen to people make these huge claims about themselves, like tonight, I'm trying to finish this god-awful interview with this prominent person, and it's painful because all of the comments to it are, what a humble person. Meanwhile, this person's like, I am, and he's making this claim, this super soldier claim that he's this big head honcho, this thing, and I am just like, what? You're what? I'll have you know the answer is no. You're an idiot, you know. And it just, for some odd reason, it just throws me right back to the hypnotherapy session and reminds me that there are these things. Yeah, you know, and then in another radio show tonight, with someone that's related to this person, they're like, oh, well, you can't let your ego get in the way. But yet, there's this ego that's in the way. It's really ironic, It's not sardonic. I think ironic. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? But anyway, that's the hypnotherapy story that I have been alluding to all this time. It's not even a big story, is it? Except that why would they implant me for that? I was already cowed and taught my lesson. Why would you stick an implant? Why would you stick that implant back in my ear unless I was getting something else reinforced, or maybe I was getting punished or put back in my place? Who knows? Why? You know, and then it goes further to why am I by myself out here on the fringe? Why am I not allowed to talk to the others and synergize and remember while everybody else gets to get together and remember, and I'm not allowed to? They're always stopped. They actually, you know, there are steps to interfere. I mean, you know, why? Why is it so important that I don't connect? Why is it so important that I don't remember? What is the threat? Someone please tell me. Anyway, yeah, I get a little depressed when these things start hitting. But that's okay because I have a convention this weekend. It's pushing my little publishing company on the mundane side for my real identity. And it's going to be at Archon. And I plug it really quick. We publish fantasy and science fiction, and we have a new book we put out called The Eyes of the Setting Sun by Christian Madsen. It's a very highbrow read, I have to admit. It's really highbrow. I enjoyed it, but there are those that don't. And then, so it's kind of a mix of, like with any book. But it's about, a lot of you guys might relate to this. It's about an artificial intelligence being who is meant to be a weapon that basically is trying to be free in the world. And she runs across another one and has to face her inner demons in order to realize what true freedom is. Yeah, it's a very, it's very highbrow, like I said. Christian called himself a niche writer. I liked it. Okay, I liked the book. That's why I published it. I thought his writing was very beautiful. We are getting ready to put out a re-release for Leslie Fish. There's a book she wrote called Of Elven Blood that I am actually polishing up. I will not have it ready before the convention because it takes months when you publish a book properly. But we're going to be putting that out. And I've got some books on CD. Yes, retro ebooks, the opening of ebooks, books on CD, because I thought that would be fun. And I've got this printer that prints on CD, so, it's more for the fun. And of course, there are prints of my art, because I truly am an artist. I just don't get to show it here. So, yeah, if you're near St. Louis, Archon, I will be with my husband and a host of other bodyguards. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm bringing my tambourine. But anyway, stepping outside of my mundane life again and back into Jennifer White. That is the story of the hypnosis thing. And I don't know, guys. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. I have not heard other people with this training talk about the difficulties that I face in getting information and stuff, and I wonder at that too. So I don't know. Intelligent comments, welcome below. Unintelligent comments get deleted.